from the tap to tales galore. Oh, taste of stories, spinning yeast and grain. Mr. B goes round the world again. So if you like, then stick around. Cheers to the nights we banished all our fears. Mr. B will raise the bar, you bet. With every pint of ale we won't forget.
Hello, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel, it might be your first time. As you can see on the thumbnail, this is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's about the Burton Union System. It's not going to be a long video. I just wanted to do a video, a bit of a shout out for a bit of British Brewing Heritage, and I'll carry on. So, what is a Burton Union? Well, Burton Union System is a fermentation system. It was invented in the 1830s. I think it was patented in 1838. Many breweries in the Burton area used it, most notably are the two, Bass and Marston's. So if you've had, especially, if you're old enough and you've had a Bass brewed pre-1980, I think 82, 84, you probably had a Burton Union fermented Bass Pale Ale, and most recently the Marston's Pedigree. Now they did do a bit of blending from the Burton Union and commit like another way of just the normal standard commercial way of brewing Pedigree, blended them together, but it was taken over then by Carlsberg. So it is a system. Now I'm going to read out a little bit of information from, well, got the information, did a lot of research for this video, and got this information from, it's a craft beer brewing internet page. So I've got their information here. I keep saying information, I don't know why I keep saying that. Been a while since I did the video, I've got my glasses. Okay, so this is from, let me just make sure it's right, so it's from Craft Beer and Brewing, so it's a nod to them. The Burton Union System. So this is probably better than me trying to fumble my way through trying to tell you what the system is. So the Burton Union System is a wood barrel fermentation system that was used predominantly by the brewers in and around Burton-on-Trent in England in the mid to late 19th century. It's also referred to as a union set. Among notable brewers who employed this system are Bass Brewery and Marston's, which I've already said. So it's they're very large wooden barrels, each 150 imperial gallons in size, ranging from 24 to 60 of these barrels in numbers. Positioned on the sides, typically suspended off the floor in wood or metal like frames. The barrels are spaced evenly, and each is fitted with a bottom valve that leads to a bottom trough. And then let me get this right. And temperator cooling coil is installed in each barrel to control fermentation temperature with chilled water. The barrels are linked together by a series of side rod pipes so that the liquid can be evenly dispersed throughout the union from a feeder vessel. A swan neck pipe leads from the top of each barrel to a top trough. Hopefully you're seeing images now on the screen to try and give you that what it actually looks like. The barrels are slightly pitched to one side, to one end. Connected to this trough at the lower end is the feeder trough. The union is fed by gravity from the primary fermentation vessels, or squares, with fresh, actively fermenting ale. So normally 12 to 24 hours after yeast has been added. So they go in a big vessel first, and then they flood the union system. At this time of fermentation process, the yeast is very active. The fermented water is introduced to the system at the feeder vessel and flows into the barrels through the side rods, flooding the union. As the yeast ferments, it's forced out of the barrels into foamy bursts, along with some beer through the swan necks and into the top trough. Here, some of the yeast stays behind while the beer runs down the trough into the feeder vessel and back into the casks through the side rods. As the first fermentation proceeds, a large amount of healthy, viable yeast is retained in the top trough, and the beer in the barrels, now cleansed of its yeast, gradually becomes bright. The yeast is collected from the top trough. Keep saying trough, I'm so sorry. I'm going to read a simplified version of this from Pete Brown in a minute. And it's considered very high quality beer. After about 6 days in the union, the fully fermented beer can be dropped out of the barrels through the bottom valve and collected in the bottom trough, another trough. This beer is then moved to a finishing vessel, blended with other beer or packaged in casks. So that is the complicated version. So now we'll go to Pete Brown's. Pete Brown is a UK British beer writer. I've got quite a few of his books, and he just tries to keep it fairly simple. So here it is. In the 19th century, Burton was the most important brewing centre on the planet. Home of the original IPA, the Union System emerged in the town in the mid-19th century. It was a curious, no, let's not beat around the bush, it was downright weird and strange and brilliant and British. A bunch of wooden barrels or a set sat horizontally alongside each other in a kind of scaffold, held in union. On top of this scaffold sat a big iron trough. Swan-necked spouts stretched from each barrel into the trough. After beer had been inoculated with yeast, it would be pumped into the barrels. As it's fermented, the yeast pushed... Sorry, my phone's just... As it... It's doing its own thing. Sorry. So, as it fermented, the yeast pushed up through the pipes, foamed into the trough and sat there happily for a bit before gradually running back into the barrels. It will keep doing this until it finished fermenting. Why? Apparently it kept the yeast really happy and healthy, and that meant better beer. You want the definition of craft beer? That's what it is. That's craft beer. That's the original craft beer. So that, to me, is probably a more simpler way of doing it. So, basically, you've got these barrels, you've got this yeast and wort going into them, it's already actively fermenting, it's run on gravity, it's pumping out like a blow-off with this yeast into a trough, and then it's recirculating, coming back, and as it's doing it, it's cleaning off. And what the brewers also do is they can crop that really healthy yeast off that first sort of running when it's in that trough. Hopefully I've shown you some images of that. So that is the Burton Union, and what were the benefits of that? Consistent quality, yeast management, which we've mentioned. What are the challenges? Labour intensive. You can imagine all that troughs, all them wooden barrels, you've got to clean them. It's labour intensive, and it's easier to replace it with stainless steel tanks, and the brewers could be just working a lot quicker, so it's a lot more effective. But this is a bit of British tradition, this union, this Burton Union. I'm rocking around like I don't know what you. So because of these challenges, Bass, there you go, Bass stopped using them in 1982, and more recently Marston's stopped using them in 2024. Now this goes to the bit now where I'm about Thornbridge, and there's another brewery in Glasgow, we'll come to that, and there's also a brewery in the USA, we'll come to them at the end. But Thornbridge were approached by a chap called Oliver Garrett, he's brewmaster at Brooklyn Brewery in the US, and he's got commercial links with Carlsberg, and he's also got history with Thornbridge. Now he recognised that Thornbridge would benefit from trying to keep on this tradition for for brewing, not just for Britain, for brewing as a whole. And Carlsberg, yes, they recognised it as well. They approached Thornbridge, and Thornbridge sort of agreed that they wanted to also be keeping this alive. So before we go any further, let me just show you this beer that I've got. This is the Thornbridge Union beer. So this was brewed in 2024. This is the Union India Pale Ale. It's coming in at 7%. It's bottle conditioned, and this was the second beer to be brewed on the actual Union system. So I'm going to crack it open. I'll get it in the glass. Really looking forward to this. So yeah, Thornbridge, they just wanted to save it really, and they were the first to do so. And then, like I say, the Glasgow brewery, which I'm forgetting the name of at the moment, I do apologise, just bear with me 1 minute and I will be able to tell you. That Glasgow brewery is called Epical. I'm probably saying it wrong, I'll put something there. And they're a brewery. I've also got the Burton Union, a bit later than Thornbridge, but I've not had any of their beers, so this is more of a chat about Thornbridge. So let's get this beer in the glass. I'm really looking forward to this. I will read the back of the bottle, because this is not a review as such. It's just a little bit about the Burton Union System. It is bottle conditioned. I'm trying to watch. There's some little floaties going to escape there now. I've also done it in my dimple pot. Just trying, then I'll stop there. I will add that, but I just wanted you to see the beer there. Very low carbonation, lovely white, creamy looking head, which is fantastic. Golden to straw in colour. A traditional IPA they've brewed. Oh, it's got fruit notes, malty, fruity notes on the nose. Now, what do they say? They say this is a classic British style IPA fermented in our Union set. We have used Marisotta, a touch of crystal malt for colour, and lashings of a special brewer's invert number 2, that's a sugar, to add notes of caramel. The hops are British grown, Goldings and North Down, which add gentle berry flavours to balance the maltiness. So this is coming at 7%. Cheers, Thornbridge. Let's have a taste of this. Oh, that is fantastic. Wow, they've done really well to tell you. You're getting the alcohol. You're getting the alcohol, a touch of alcohol there. You can tell it's a strong beer, but you're getting that fruitiness on top of that malt. And believe it or not, even though it's got a medium body, very smooth, it feels quite refreshing and quite easy to drink. I mean, I think you could get through that really, really easy. That is lovely. Nice bitterness, not overly bitter and not under bitter. Perfect for an English IPA. It's got a nice bitterness. You're getting that sweet malt, and you're also getting them subtle hedgerow fruit notes that are coming through, and a little bit of grassiness, a bit of hay sort of notes there. That is fantastic. That really is. And that was second beer brewed on the system. I think they did it in cask at 6%, and the bottle version was 7%, which I'm not bothered. Here we go. Some people will not like this, but here we go. Let's get it all in. Let's get all the flavour in. It's all in there now. That looks and tastes absolutely fantastic. I think it was about £3.98 from my local bottle shop. The Union Pale Ale, brewed on that Union system, which they've saved. So that was their actual second beer they brewed, because the first beer they wanted to try out on there was obviously Jaipur. So I'm going to go now, enjoy that. I'm going to come back and we're going to taste another beer off that Union system. Okay, so I'm back. That beer, fantastic. Proper high class English, strong, smooth, well crafted, well brewed, well fermented on that system, clean, just great. Really, it makes me proud to be English when I'm getting a beer brewed on that Union system, tasting that good. It is superb. I think a lot of my viewers who like the English ales will love that beer. It's fantastic. So I said I'm going to move on to another beer on that Union, and this, I've got a little bit of information here. So Thornbridge said that it's a fantastic opportunity for them to be brewing on the system, and also to be saving this British brewing history. Just a small amount they've got. I think they've got something like six barrels or something. I'm not 100% on that. But it took them a lot of education, a lot of time to get to know how to use it, because you can't just be wheeled in and you use it. You've got to learn how to use it with them troughs, making sure that the fermentation is at the right point before you let it go into them barrels, and then that's pushing through that yeast, and then it's all going continuously, and then it eventually just ferments out and you're getting a clean, bright beer, which I've shown you on that last one. So they had to do a lot of work just to get to that point. I think they maybe acquired it early 24, and I think mid 24 they did the Union, and then they did this beer, and this was their first collab beer. So this is the Thornbridge and Colonel Burton Ale. So Burton Ale was it was brewed before the IPAs were brewed. It's what you class as, if you've had an old ale, or they're basically Burton ales. So this is, what is this then? Dark ruby red, 7.2%, brewed with Colonel, like I say. information on the back on this one. It says, we first brewed our Burton Ale with Colonel Brewery back in the summer of 2011, inspired by historical brewing recipes from the early 20th century. This iteration, fermented on our Union system, is malty, rich and dark with a gentle balancing bitterness from the golding hops. Roasted malts and special brewing sugars make our Burton Ale the perfect winter warmer. This bottle contains fresh live beer, yep, so it's another bottle condition, 7.2%. Let's get this one in the glass. So like I said, this was their first beer collab on that system, and they have done one, they've done a couple more beers since. They've done another collab, and that was with, let me get that, Odell Brewing in the US, and that was a 90 shilling beer. So it was an amber ale. And then they did the 1838 beer. I don't think that was a collab. Just let me try and get this in the glass. Again, it's looking really smooth. Go to there. There we go. Beer in the glass. It has got a lovely ruby hint to that. A lovely off-white, creamy looking head. Looks like it's going to stick around again. It looks very cask-like, very low carbonation, which suits me. That is perfect. And yeah, so they did a beer with, on their own. It was the 1838 Pale Ale, and this is a nod to when the Burton Union was patented. So yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to Thornbridge, to Epical, to Marston's, Carlsberg, for actually saving some of these sets and letting them be used in Britain. So we've got them in Scotland, in Glasgow, we've got them in England, so which is absolutely fantastic. So for me, it's a big thank you for saving that heritage, that brewing heritage. And also, like I say, there is Firestone Walker in the US. They've got their what they're called Firestone Union system, and they brew beers on that, but it's slightly different. It's a modernisation of the Burton system. So there is other breweries doing something similar, but Thornbridge, and I'm going to say it again, Epical in Glasgow have actually got the original set from Burton, from Marston's, which is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, it's just a shout out to them breweries that are using these systems and keeping some sort of tradition alive, you know, in the US, in Scotland, in England, and I'm sure you may know of other breweries that are doing it. It's just great that Thornbridge has taken this and they're now brewing more beers, and hopefully Epical will be brewing more beers. Just let me get into the beer, let's have a look. So still there, lovely dark brown ruby in colour, nice dark fruit notes, a little bit of roastiness going on there as well. Okay, cheers, and cheers Thornbridge. Oh, that's rich. That is really, really rich. That's good. It's not it's not hop forward whatsoever. I wouldn't expect it to be. It's got, the alcohol is more hidden in this than it was on the IPA. So I'm not getting the alcohol notes. I'm getting dark fruit notes, sweet malt notes, and then just at the very back of your tongue, you're getting a bitterness which calms down any malt sweetness, so it doesn't become cloying. It finishes really clean as well. Another one, it just finishes so clean, a bit like the IPA did. Really clean finish. Body medium, smooth. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Malty beer with a nice bitter hoppy finish which just controls it so it doesn't become over sweet. Carbonation is superb as well on the palate. It's not fizzy, which is great. Again, 7.2%, that's going to go down a little bit quick, so I better calm down because that's two strong beers one after the other for me. What is interesting for me as well, for me personally, is, I'll put it up on the screen now, in the homebrew scene, there is ways of making like a DIY, build your own Burton style system. And I like a challenge, and I think in 2025, by the end of 2025, I want to have built something simple and brew a beer in that same fashion. And if it works for me, it's going to be great, and obviously I'll pass on that knowledge as well. But yeah, so there we go. That is the Burton Union System, and I've enjoyed both them beers. I've still got some in that one, haven't I? Pour that in. Like I say, it doesn't bother me. It can all go in. And I will look out for more beers from Thornbridge and Epical, just to see what beers are going to be produced on this Union system. But I just think it's fantastic. I really do, and I'm a bit passionate about that, especially a bit of brewing heritage, history, staying alive. I just think it's superb. Okay, thanks for watching. If you've lasted this long, it's not really a review, but honestly, if you see them, give them a go. That's slightly merked up now because I put that in there. If you see either of them beers, or if you see a Union brewed beer by Thornbridge, just give it a go, and just by giving it a go, you're supporting them to carry on using that Union, and hopefully forevermore. Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers, and I'll see you on another one. Cheers.
So if you like, then stick around. Cheers to the nights we banished all our fears. Mr. B will raise the bar, you bet. With every pint of ale we won't forget.